Camera RAW is a very special and advanced image file format which can record high bit depth images. But to understand what bit depth means, I would like to show you a quick comparison. So 1 bit records 2 information. In case of colors, it will be 2 colors. So 1 bit can be black and white, for example. And this is true to the 1 bit images. So if the bit depth is 1, then you will have only white and black. As you can see, it will be a very low quality image. If you have 8 bit, that means 2 on the power of 8 amount of colors, which is 256 colors. That provides a very nice grayscale image. Or you can use that color information also for a limited color palette, like the PNG 8 or the GIF file formats would do that. But probably the most commonly known file format, JPEG, uses the 24-bit per image color model, 2 on the power of 8 for each channels. So the red, green, and blue channels all together is 2 on the power of 24, which is 16.7 million colors. Now that might seem a lot, but the Camera RAW file format actually goes way beyond that, because even the most simplest Camera RAW image will have 2 on the power of 12 colors per channel. So you can see while the JPEG is 24-bit per image, the Camera RAW will be minimum 36-bit per image or even more. Now, why is that useful and why is it important to have even more than 16 million colors whenever you capture an image? Well, you can see here this comparison shows that from the original photograph, if you take this as a JPEG or as a Camera RAW, the result of editing that image will look very different. So doing the same edits on the JPEG and the RAW image, you can see that we have much more details recovered from this very underexposed photo on the RAW version. The only disadvantage to Camera RAW files is the big file size compared to the compressed images like JPEGs. In Adobe Bridge, if you work with a Camera RAW file, once you open it by double-clicking on it, it will automatically open up in Adobe Camera RAW, which is a built-in application which comes together with Photoshop, and it is built into Bridge as well. And here you can control a lot of features, like you can play around with the exposure, controlling it separately for highlights and shadows. You can play with the colors and so on and so forth. Now, Camera RAW is a big topic and I'm not going to focus on it in this course. All I want to show you is that whenever you use it in Adobe Bridge, you will always see a little icon next to the Camera RAW file that image has been already adjusted. If you right-click on the image, you can find the develop settings where you can clear those settings, or you can also copy settings from one Camera RAW image onto another. Another important thing to remember is that every change that you do in Camera RAW is actually non-destructive, so it will never clear the original image information. Even if you crop in Camera RAW, it will never be final, so you can always go back to the original crop. Just to show you an example for that, let me select this image here. By double-clicking on it, it comes up in Camera RAW. And I'm going to use the crop tool, and I will create a crop here, a more panoramic crop for this image. Then I click on done, and when I go back to Bridge, it will seem like I now completely lost the rest of the image, but you can see there's a little icon showing that I actually cropped this image, and in the metadata, it still remembers the original crop of the whole image. So if I double click on it once again, I can use the crop tool, and you can see immediately that we can always show the original details of this image. If you have a camera that can record in RAW format, I highly recommend to use it because you will have much more flexibility whenever you need to make edits to your photographs. Last but not least, I wanted to mention that RAW files have lots of different file formats. So Nikon, for example, uses NEF, while Canon would use CRW or CR2. And Adobe has its own Camera RAW file format as well, called Digital Negative or DNG. But the Camera RAW editor built into Bridge will be able to open all of these files and develop them the same way.